Hello readers, welcome back to the Litdulterous Whore. I'm your host, Stacey Wright. It's Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2025, and I don't know if you know much about Calgary, but we have this crazy thing in like the first part of July called Stampede. So it's crazy here right now. We can hear everything that's going on from the Stampede ground that's just quite far away. So it's been one of those weeks already, and it's only on Tuesday. But it's been an excellent reading week for me. I don't know about you. Now, I just got re-signed in to do another book tour for Berkeley Books, and it's called How to Sell a Romance. I don't know if you can see that, by Alexa Martin, and I'm almost a third of the way through, and it's actually really good. I'm actually really enjoying these Berkeley book tours. I think it might be next week, so keep an eye out for this one coming out next week. Okay, other thing, so my store right now, my Etsy store, has 25% off store-wide in honor of my favorite cousin's birthday that was yesterday. So if you go to the backloriandesigns.etsy.com, it's just 25% off store-wide. So you should go grab yourself some stickers or a bookmark or something. Okay, it's been one of those weeks. I just discovered that Fable, I've never used it before. I had a look at it when I did the episode on other bookish apps. It didn't wow me, so I didn't really go back to it, but I have an account. And someone was talking about how they do book clubs. Now, I didn't really want to join any. I've got enough of my own reading to do, but I thought it might be fun for anybody that is interested in doing the Read Like Rory challenge with me. We can pick so many books off of her list. I can email you the PDF, and I thought we could set up like a book club of Read Like Rory people, and you can find me on Fable. I'm going to put everything in the caption so you can find all the links. But I also did one called the Indie Files, and what I'm hoping to do is to find some independent authors who are interested in maybe sponsoring a book club session. Maybe we could get free PDFs or maybe very, very cheap ebooks. Like, I don't quite know what I want to do yet. Like, I'm not expecting an author to give out like 50 copies of books or anything, but I thought maybe we could come to some kind of arrangement, especially if we can get everybody maybe to post on their socials all about this book at the same time. Might create a tidal wave of marketing for them for free, right? Like, I don't know, it's something I'm looking at. I have already started the book club on Fable. If you want to come join me, again, the link is going to be in the caption. Now, it's been one of those reading weeks where I feel like I read a lot, but I only actually got around to reading 4 books over the weekend, and that's less than I normally do, and I can't even say I was productive over the weekend, so I don't even know what I was up to. Now, I did read a book called Death by Astonishment, and that's by Andrew R. Gallimore, and it just came in yesterday. Now, it was from my SMP Early Reader program, and I'm looking at the cover, I'm like, this cover is wild, but it's all about LSD. We all started out with like the drugs and how LSD became what it is today, like the pathway. And I was only going to have a quick flick through it so that I could write a book blast, and then I would read it and review it closer to a release date. But I actually ended up like reading the whole thing. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not normally my thing to read about illicit substances, but I actually thought the book was really well written. It was actually a really interesting topic. So I will definitely be posting about that. I just finished an audiobook today called The Baker of Lost Memories by Shirley Russak Wachtel. Now, this book was really weird because when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, clearly this is a World War II novel about a baker, okay? And it was only like a teeny weeny bit. So this couple, they had a daughter during like the Nazi era, and she got taken away to one of their like kiddie camps, and she didn't make it. And they both ended up in prisoner of war camps, but they both survived it. And it was about their journey of getting out, finding each other again, and going to America to start a new life. Like, they had another child. And yeah, it was really different than what I was expecting. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So I highly recommend that one. I don't think it's out yet, but I will check. I think I'm going to start putting everything in the caption for you guys, because I'm starting to realize that I keep waffling on about these books and you probably have no idea how to reference where I've mentioned it in the episode. So I think you're going to be more diligent and stop douching, you guys. And then I read Save Her Life by Carolyn Arnold. This was a really interesting book because it was all about this woman whose twin brother died during a hostage situation when she was a child, and she becomes a hostage negotiator herself. And then her daughter gets kidnapped, and it's all about trying to get her back, but because she can't do her job, because when you're not involved in it, right, you can kind of be separated from it, but when it's your own flesh and blood, like, it's showing you the differences, like how your emotions get in the way. It was a really good read. And then I read My Daughter is Missing by J.D. Kirk. So this one was one of those slow burn thrillers, okay? Like, so this woman, she's at a disco with her daughter, and her daughter goes missing. And she has to try and find out what happened to her daughter before her twin sister, like, gets to these people first, because she's ruthless. But it was really quite plotty and slow, but everything kind of happens at the end, and you kind of feel like you're on a roller coaster, and it's just kind of like dun 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 dun, and then the ending kind of whips you around. It was insane, but I really bloody enjoyed it. And it's publication day, so what can we find out in the wild today? All the Men I've Loved Again by Christine Pride, and that one is a multicultural women's fiction book. Every Step She Takes by Kelley Armstrong, and that one is a crime thriller. I absolutely love that author. Canadian, love her. How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold, and that one is a horror thriller. Now, I didn't know this one even existed until I was compiling this list, and it's now in my cart for Prime. I'm going to talk to you about Prime in a second. Julie Tudor is Not a Psychopath by Jennifer Holdrich, and that one is a mystery thriller, and it scared the absolute bejesus out of me. Okay, this woman comes across as like being like a little weird, but oh my god, yeah, it gave me the creeper vibes. Okay, creeper vibes. Only Between Us by Ellie K. Wilde, and that one is a sports romance. Now, this one is on my list for me to buy at some point when I replenish my budget. Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, and that one is a dark romantasy. Now, I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's freaking exciting. The Women in Suite 11 by Ruth Ware, and that one is a mystery. Now, I'm not gonna lie, me and Ruth Ware have a very, very 3-star relationship. Like, not any of her books have ever really done it for me, but she's a pretty standard 3-star author, but people seem to love her. It's just how I feel about it. Okay, so Prime. So I don't know if you noticed, like, there's Prime deals today going on with books. So they have the Ruinous Love books, paperbacks only. Maybe you can in the US get hardcovers, but I couldn't find them on Amazon. And each one is like between $20 and $25, and that's with their discount. Now, if you sign up for Book of the Month, and I will have a code for you to like sign in for that, because you can get the first book if you're in the US for $4, which is a really great price. Canada is a little bit more, it's $20, but it's free shipping. But every other book after that when you're in Canada is $15. And they have, if you do it as an add-on, all of the Ruinous Love books, all 3 of them, for $15. Hardcovers, they're really nice. Now, I'm still waiting for mine to come, but $47 for 3 hardcovers versus, it was going to be like 60 something to buy them all in paperback. And I'm like, why would you do that? So if you were thinking about grabbing that by Bryn Weaver, definitely go to Book of the Month and do it. And like I said, there's going to be a code in their caption. Anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Now, this is episode 9 of season 2, and it's What the F does this book term mean? I don't know if you've ever noticed, but sometimes you might be reading a review or a book article or something, or someone's talking about it in a book group, and they're talking in this crazy book slang. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? Now, this has happened to me a lot, okay? And I'm not going to say that I don't know a lot, because I do, but even I get tripped up sometimes. I just discovered this whole trope of black cat, golden retriever, and I'm like, is this like cozy pet sleuths or something? And everyone was like bursting out laughing, okay? Because no, what they mean is, it's the opposite of Grumpy Sunshine, where the woman is grumpy, so she's a black cat, right? And the man is the sunshine, but he's a golden retriever. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, yeah, that makes way more sense than what I was thinking. But I do get asked questions a lot about what some of these terms mean, especially when it comes to reviewing. So what I thought I would do is I'll just give you a quick, the Litdulterous glossary of bookish terms in case you don't know them, or I don't know, maybe you don't want to ask. It is really embarrassing, just so you know. I've been a reader for over 35 years, and I can't believe that still I don't know stuff. You know what I mean? It's freaking embarrassing. So when it comes to reviewing, so let's say you are a book influencer or a book reviewer for NetGalley, for example, and you may have heard the word ARC, A-R-C, okay? ARC reader. Now that is somebody who has read a book before publication. So they got a pre-publication copy of a book, and they will do things like post on the Goodreads, on Amazon, BookBub, those kind of places. Maybe they have socials. They don't actually have to, but it tends to be that they will post their reviews of books that haven't been released yet. All right. Now we have something called a street team. Now, I'm on probably 4 of these street teams right now. It's pretty easy. But what a street team basically means is that you promote the author's books, you promote their events, you post reviews, you will repost, share to stories, their post from their social medias. Now, each author will have a different way of doing their own street teams. So it might be that one only wants you to share their posts, cover reveals, that kind of stuff. Another one I'm in where she will do all those things, and she asks you to do at least 2 a week. So you don't have to do everything, but just 2 a week. And then she has a portal where if you want to read the book, you can sign up on her Google Docs for that. Like, that's basically all it means, is that you're there as like a cheering squad for the author. Now, if you're going to say something horrible about the book, they always ask you to wait to give your review until after it's been released. That's really important to them. But each team has their own rules and guidelines. Now, you have a TikTok team. And this is basically where you promote their TikTok accounts. So you'll repost their videos, share their videos, comment on their videos, like their videos, or you'll tag the author in stuff that you have done for them. I do not do the TikTok ones because I don't know if you've ever seen my TikTok. I am lucky to get 200 views. I can't crack the code, and I've done everything anyone suggested. I've tried different times, different hashtags. I don't know if it's just my face or what, but yeah, I can't get anywhere on TikTok, so I'm not on any TikTok teams. Now you have book reviewer. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you got an art copy, but you may well have bought the book or found the book, or the author has asked you to go buy the book, or you found it on KU. It's a library book. That doesn't matter. A book reviewer is somebody who has got the book themselves and has read and reviewed the book and posted. It's kind of helpful for you to have shown or told somebody what you have said about the book. Now, the difference between an ARC reader and a book influencer, because I keep getting asked about this. Someone was like, well, I read books and I review books. Does that make me an influencer? Well, no. The difference is that a reviewer for books, they are there for the reader. You are writing reviews to help readers make smart choices about reading, what to read, what you thought about it. A book influencer is there to push sales for the author. They're not out there giving 3-star reviews for books. You're not an influencer if you're out there star rating books in hopes of getting them sales, because that's just not going to happen. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So let's go down to the nitty gritty. Okay, there are so many acronyms, and like some are even I'm not going to lie, I didn't know. When I was compiling my list and I was asking people and just generally trying to get an idea of what was what, there was even some I was like, oh, that's what that means. Or there was one I'd never seen it before. So let's get down to it. So ARC or eARC, as I've said, is Advanced Reader Copy. That's where you have gotten a paperback copy of a book that hasn't been released yet, or a digital copy of a book that hasn't been released yet. And then you have ALC, which is Advanced Listener Copy, which means that you got an audiobook version of a book before it was released. Backlist. Now, this is where you have read a book by an author and you decide to go back and read every book they've ever written. So that's when someone says, I went and got such and such as backlist. What they meant is, I just read this author's book, I loved it, and now I'm going to go read everything else they've ever written. Book haul. Now, a book haul is when you have gone to the bookstore and you've bought a bunch of books, gone to the library and borrowed a bunch of books, and you're showing them off online. And unhauling basically means that you are now selling those books. Sorry, that probably got really loud. My air conditioning unit just suddenly was like, ooh, we need an extra burst of cold air. Here's some noise. So sorry about that. Okay, the what's next? Canon. Now, this is where we assume that part of a fan base, so we assume canon law. So this is, we're accepting these things as being officially part of a story that wasn't told in the book, but fans have come up with. And then the author will kind of say, yeah, okay, that works. You know what I mean? Okay, CR stands for currently reading. It took me so long to realize what people were asking when they were like, what's your CR? And I'm like, what's my what? So, yeah. Seriously, okay? I don't know if people are just making these things up to irritate me or to catch me out or what. But after a while, these things just become second nature. I've noticed that. Like, somebody makes something up and then other people start using it and it just becomes, it just becomes the norm. So next we have CWTW. So this is content warning, trigger warning. Now, a trigger warning is basically warning you that there might be something in there that's very triggering. Like, let's say, miscarriage or a really violent death that's not, because it's not a thriller, maybe it's a romance book that you're not really prepared for. Content warning is just basically warning you, hey, this stuff might be adult content, watch this space, you know what I mean? Maybe go check the triggers. Now, I enjoy the fact of content warnings more because now if someone says, hey, there's a content warning, now if I want to know, I can go look. When someone says these are the triggers, now I feel like you're spoiling it for me, and I'm not a massive fan of that. DNF. This means did not finish. It's so hard because sometimes I don't finish a book, but I'll come back to it later. And they actually have something called not right now. So it's NRN. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And it's funny because I kept saying I DNF'd it and came back to it. And there was an acronym for that. So, yeah, like I said, I keep learning new things. So they have something called DRC as well, and that's a digital review copy. No one really uses that term anymore. I don't know why. Like, I follow a lot of people that book influence and book review. I've actually never seen anybody use it, but it came up, so I thought I'd share it. Fanfic, which is basically shorthand for fan fiction, and I think you understand what fan fiction is. Like, that's what 50 Shades of Grey were, right? She wrote fan fiction of Twilight as, like, spanky spanks. And she actually got them published. So, you know what? They may have been crap, but good for her. This is one that I just discovered too. And it's really stupid because I should have known this one, but I didn't. And it was FTB. And it was Fade to Black. Basically meaning that there is, like, they're preparing to have sex, like to be intimate. But we don't actually read about it. We just know it happens because they say it's going to, and then it disappears off to like the next stage of the story. No, I actually didn't even realize there was a word for that. So I learned something new this week. GR stands for Goodreads. That's a place where you can post your book reviews or find book reviews. It's one of those ones that's a little controversial right now because Amazon owns it. readers get very upset about Jeff Bezos. So we got HEA next, and that's happily ever after, or HFN, which is happy for now, which I think is really interesting because it kind of shows you that just because they got what they want doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay happy. I just found that one really funny. I didn't even know that was a thing. So we have indie, and that's a self-published author. That's somebody who basically doesn't have the traditional publishing, but they're doing it themselves. So they're forking out the cost themselves. Then you have the ones where they do the author's initials. So you got like JLA, and that one's Jennifer L. Armentrout, and then SMJ, which is like Sarah J. Maas, right? So, and there's lots of them that they do that way. They do Taylor Jenkins Reid that way as well, like her initials is freaking hilarious. You got LFL, and that one is Free Little Library. Now, for some reason, I kept wanting to say like Free Little Library. I don't know why, but it's taken me ages to really commit to the LFL. We got KU, which I talk about a lot, which is Kindle Unlimited, and that is an Amazon ebook service. And they're just starting to bring in audios to go with it. Like I know right now that if you buy the Kindle book, that you can get the audio dirt cheap. Now I don't do that because I've got nowhere to store audiobooks. What they need is something for me to store my audiobooks on the way I do my Kindle, because right now I download all my NetGalley books onto my phone. Well, right now I'm using 60 gigabytes in just audiobooks, and my phone doesn't like it. Sometimes it gets really hot. Okay, so next is MC, which means main character. Now, sometimes you'll see them talk about FMC, which is female main character, or MMC, male main character. Not everybody does it. I usually just write MC unless the name has like, if it's like Dylan and you don't know whether that's male or female, I will put F or M then, because it's ambiguous and you don't know, and I feel like it's necessary then, but most of the time I just put MC. MG stands for mid-grade, and that's a middle grade book, so that's, I think that's 8 to 12 years. You won't see that a great deal because not a lot of reviewers tend to review too many of those online. Now we have mood reader. Now that is somebody who doesn't stick to a specific list of books but jumps around based on how they're feeling. And I am an epic moody. I am the worst moody ever. I will be in the mood for a book and I'll tell an author they can send me a book. And by the time it arrives, I'm already hopped onto another genre. I just got a horror book and I was desperate to read this horror book. The author reached out to me and was like, hey, are you interested? I'm like, damn straight. I'm in my horror era right now. And by the time it arrived, because it came from the US, so shipping, like there's logistics, right? By the time it came, I'm back in my romance phase. So it's like sitting there staring at me, and I kind of promised the author that I'd have it done in a timely fashion. I keep looking at it going, me. It's funny. Being a mood reader sucks because you can't really stick to a TBR as well as you would like. It's easier with audiobooks, I'm not going to lie, because I'll just dial in after a while and the tone is set. But for like my hardcovers, it can be really, really hard. Like I said, I've got this book tour coming up and I have a week to read, review, and post on the day of publication. But what if now I don't want to read a romance? What if Enemies to Lovers is not doing it for me right now? Like it's good because we are not stuck in any genre, but it sucks too. Okay, so we have NA, which stands for New Adult, which is a fairly new term. Like I don't know when it was introduced, but they wanted something to bridge that gap between young adult and adult content. So it would be lectures are between the ages of 18 and 22, I think. Like it's a little bit more adulty content, but with the younger characters. They were trying to bridge that gap, and I think they did a pretty good job of that. In all honesty, for me, if I see new adult, I just assume adult fiction. Doesn't necessarily mean there's sex in it. It's just the age of the characters are going to be slightly younger. So like I said, there's NRN. That's not right now. So that's when you DNF a book but you come back to it. And 9 times out of 10, I will. I read Verity. When did I read that? 2017. I think it was 2017. I read that book and I was like, oh my God, this might be one of the best thriller books I ever read. I was like, ooh, swoony, swoony, swoony. And then she released this bonus set of chapters for the end of it. And I reread the book and I'm like, my God, this is shit. Fuck was I thinking? I'm like, best book I've ever read. Like, what? My God, what kind of tripe was that? And I was like, hang on, I was like, new babies, like pregnancy brain, like, oh, maybe that was it. So I always try and give a book a second chance in the future. I think I have 3 books right now. There was a Donna Tartt one that I started in 2015 and I just couldn't get on with it then. I'm going to try that one again because you never know. Like, I'm a different person, right? So my book preferences also have adapted. So never say never for me, okay? DNF is not like the final thing. And then we have something called OOP, and that's out of print, which means that a book is no longer being printed in that format. It does happen. It sucks when that happens, especially when you're trying to find a book and then you have to go looking for secondhand books, which I don't mind personally, but it can be quite frustrating. Like, there's 6 books I'm trying to find right now for my Read Like Rory challenge, and my library doesn't have them. I've had a look online, but short of paying anywhere from $40 to $70 a book when these books might not be any good, yeah, I'm not doing it. So I'm keeping an eye out for used copies, and I'm hoping I can find them, but if not, I'm just not going to do them, because what else are you supposed to do? Now you have OTP, and this one I didn't know either, and it's One True Pairing, and that's basically another way to say ship. Now this ship thing, I didn't even know what this was either, and it's basically 2 characters in a story that fans would like to see together. You know what I mean? Us big people are pretty mental. Like, we're pretty nutty. And I think sometimes the things that we want may even mold the way an author will write a series too. Maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of get the feeling that rather than upsetting the fans, right? Next one is Own Voices. And that's when the author is part of the same marginalized group that they are writing about. There's a lot of really great books out right now. NetGalley is doing their NetGalley camp. I did it last year. This year, it's grab a book in their Read Now section for diverse voices, which I thought was really exciting. So I picked my book yesterday. I'm excited to get that one started. POV. Now that one stands for a point of view. If you are into porn, you would have already have known that. But in book terms, that is basically the perspective of the character that we are getting at that point in the book. Now, you might hear things like multi-point of view, which means that the book has many different characters and they're the first-person narratives. Not a fan of those. I'm really not. I do not think that a lot of books necessarily need all these characters to tell a story, but whatever. I know a lot of people really do like it. I don't. Multiple points of view are just not my thing. I think only maybe 2 books have ever done it satisfactorily to me, and even then they weren't brilliant. So there you go. It's just my opinion. RTC, which is review to come. Now, I try not to do this because when somebody puts it up on Goodreads that they finished a book and then that's what they write on the review section, it's very irritating, because I saw somebody had done that like on 8 or 9 different books and then never went back. And one of them was from 2022. Like, I guess they felt that they were going to go back and then just never did. Then you have SFF, and that's sci-fi and fantasy. That's when they mash the 2 genres together. I know what it meant, but I don't think I've ever seen it used in a review before. But that's not to say that I won't in the future. So it's something to know. Right? Now you have the spicy. So this is when it comes to the sexy time in a book. And people will usually give you their spicy chili pepper rating on their reviews. So if it's like 5 stars and 3 chili peppers, that means that it was 3 out of 5 spice level. Now, each reviewer also has their own way of reviewing for spice. Like, one lady gives it a 1-star chili pepper when there's some heavy macking in there and maybe grabs her titty, but like, for anyone else, that's not spice. So take that with a grain of salt. Next is TBR. That one's to be read. You will hear it a lot. I use TBR a lot. So I will have a stack of books. That's my TBR. But it might be that I'm not even planning on reading them anytime soon, but everything's TBR. If I haven't read it yet, it's TBR. Trope. Now, this is a common term used for characteristics or a plot device in a book. So things like enemies to lovers. Now, they're going to start off being unfriendly and then they're probably going to end up together. Or found family, stuff like that. These are all tropes. Let's think, what else have we got? Like, Grumpy Sunshine, Small Town, like you got all the hockey terms, like, frick, there is a lot. I'm not going to bore you. And then you have WIP. Now, you're probably going to see this more on author pages. And that basically stands for work in progress. When they're talking about a book they're working on or a short story, this is what they will tend to say when they are currently working on a manuscript. And then you have YA, which is young adult. And I thought I'd just give you a few more examples of bookish terms that you may or may not know. And if you didn't, woohoo for you. So you've got audio bibliophiles. Now that one's pretty simple. A bibliophile is a book lover. Audio ones means that they love audiobooks. Boom. Auto by author. Now this is somebody who, it doesn't matter what they write, you don't even read the synopsis. If their name is on the front of that book, you are buying and reading it. Now I have very many auto-buy authors myself. Stephen King happens to be one. Jodi Picoult used to be one, but her last two books just kind of slammed for me, so not so much. Kelley Armstrong, love her. I will buy anything that she writes. She's amazing. So I have plenty of auto-buy authors. So you might hear the terms book boyfriend and book girlfriend, and that's where you have a crush on a fictional character. Book hangover. I get these very rarely, but they do happen. And that's when you finished reading a book and you are just mentally taxed from reading it, so much so that it's living rent free in your head and you can't start another book. It sucks when it happens, like seriously sucks. Then you have Bookstagram, and that's basically Instagram's version of their book community, and that's just basically the hashtag that you would use. So you have hashtag Bookstagram, Bookstagrammer. Booktube, same thing. That's where you're posting bookish content on YouTube. Book Talk, obviously, that's TikTok's version of the same thing. You can use all the same hashtags in most of these places, because I've actually noticed that FYP is something they were using on TikTok, has now become standardized on Bookstagram as well, which was weird. So you have comfort books, comfort reads. This is when you read a book that you know is just going to fill your soul up, that's going to be warm and cozy, like a hug and a cup of tea and your favorite blanket. Dog earing. Now, this one really irritates me. Do not dog ear your freaking books. Send me an email. I'll send you some free freaking bookmarks. Just don't do it. It's where you fold the corner of the page down. I hate it. I used to have a friend that used to fold not just the corner, but the whole thing down to the spine. Like, what are you doing, you freaking heathen? Page turner. That's when a book is so good you can't stop turning the pages. You can't put the thing down. Reading slump. So this is when you want to read, but you just can't settle on a book. Maybe you've picked up about 20 different books, got like so many pages, and you just can't do it. We've all been there. Just so you know, this is not abnormal for anybody. It's happened to me. I had my daughter Shirley, and I found out I was pregnant and was miscarrying twins, and I went through the mother of all slumps until after my next child was born. I was finding it really hard to read. So we've all been there. And the last one is shelfie. So not selfie, but shelfie. So that's when you take pictures of your beautiful shelves, and you might see them all over Bookstagram and Book Talk and whatnot. And I love it because it gives me the honey glows to see other people's like beautiful reader spaces. Now, I hope that some of those you didn't know, and now you feel a little bit more prepared if you haven't started a bookish social media yet. Or maybe you're one of those people that you look at people's Goodreads and you're like, I don't know what they mean. Or maybe you want to have short ways of talking about books and now you're in the know. Now, I love doing what I am doing. I'm having so much fun right now. And if you love my content, give me a follow on youtube.com/@Litdulterous. You can find me on Spotify as well. That's @Litdulterous. You can find me on TikTok @Litdulterous. You can find me on Bookstagram. That's @Litdulterous Horror. I have a Facebook page. That's also @Litdulterous. I have all my book reviewing ones too, so you can find me on Bookstagram, and that's my at Bookalorian Designs. You can find me on Facebook at Bookalorian Designs. You can find me on TikTok, Bookalorian_designs. Now, like I said, my TikTok doesn't go anywhere, so if you can give me some hearts and some comments, I will even pick some people that have been commenting if you reference watching the show, and I will do a little giveaway for you guys, send you some freebies. Thanks for being here. I am so happy to be here with you guys every week, and we're going to do Read Like Rory on Friday. And because it was 2 short books, I did Bambi and Alice Adventures in Wonderland, so I'm really excited to share my thoughts with you on those. Take care, readers. This is Stacey Wright, the Litdulterous Horse, signing off. Have a wonderful rest of your reading week. Take care.